Hello students, I welcome you to EPG Pathshala. My name is Dr. Amit Katoch and I am working as Assistant Professor in University Institute of Hotel and Tourism Management of Punjab University. Dear students, I would be taking the module on cargo liability insurance and foreign trade licenses for export and import under the paper Cargo Operations and Management. After completing this module, the students will be able to know about cargo liability, cargo insurance, foreign trade licenses for import and export. Firstly, I will start with the introduction. Cargo handling is business of utmost care and responsibility as it includes important and precious articles of clients and customers. The module describes about cargo liability, insurance, foreign trade licenses for import and export. The module covers various peculiar aspects associated with cargo handling. Insurance provides security of articles of client in case of accident or handling damage. The module describes the importance of foreign trade licenses and their types. The export and import are directly related to the cargo industry. Cargo liability. Cargo loss or damage is everyone's nightmare and has become a taboo subject to discuss between a freight forwarder and their customer. Each supply chain is different and accounts economic requirements may cause an even greater variance in the transportation solutions provided. For instance, your cargo may originate at a third party supplier who hands your shipment off to a trucker who delivers it to a warehouse where it is either consolidated or handed off to another trucker to bring it to a gateway where your cargo is consolidated and then trucked to a railhead, pier, or airport where it may be handed off to another trucker before it leaves the country for international transport. Once the cargo arrives at the country of import, the process begins again in reverse until it is delivered to your final customer. Now, to complicate matters, imagine each country that your cargo travels through has security interests that may select your shipment for a customs inspection. Each supply chain is different and accounts economic requirements may cause an even greater variance in the transportation solutions provided. For instance, your cargo may originate at a third party supplier who hands your shipment off to a trucker who delivers it to a warehouse where it is either consolidated or handed off to another trucker to bring it to a gateway where your cargo is consolidated and then trucked to a railhead, pier, or airport where it may be handed off to another trucker before it leaves the country for international transport. Once the cargo arrives at the country of import, the process begins again in reverse until it is delivered to your final customer. Now, to complicate matters, imagine each country that your cargo travels through has security interests that may select your shipment for a customs inspection. Now, I will discuss about carriers' defense against liabilities. In addition to limiting liabilities, a carrier by law is permitted certain defenses known as the 17 Hague defenses. Carrier or the vessel shall not be responsible for different types of losses and damage from following reasons. Any act of neglect, navigation, or in the management of the ship, fire not because of aircraft malfunctioning, natural disaster, undeclared war, acts of antisocial agents, administrative unrest, unprecedented strikes, riots, effort of the ship or craft to save life or property, existing defect in the goods, improper packaging, improper marking, fractional defects, all other defects cause arising without the actual fault of the carrier, their agents and servants. Now I will discuss about protection against liabilities on account of client. Reliable contractors. Although carriers have limited liabilities, the bills of lading are not worth anything if the carrier does not have the insurance coverage to back it up. Request a carrier's proof of insurance. Also, contractors with comprehensive worldwide networks have additional security measures and procedures to keep cargo safe and intact. Prepare shipments for export. It is shippers' responsibility to ensure that their cargo is prepared for the vigor of international transport. There are too many variables to list and each customer's product is different, but sometimes common sense is enough to prevent loss or damage. That is, use rigid corrugated packaging, use polystyrene, foam inner packaging or other foam or paper packaging products to prevent breakage. Do not overstack pallets, use airbags or proper blocking and bracing for full containers, and if you are the importer, ensure you provide written instruction to your supplier to properly pack, mark and label cargo. Know your contract terms. Make sure your shipping terms are agreed to in writing prior to transporting your cargo. Know your terms will dictate who is responsible for what and can save a headache in the long term. Inspection of cargo. It is a consignee's responsibility to make a visual inspection of cargo upon receipt to determine if there are any visible signs of loss, damage or tampering. Making the proper notation on cargo receipts and getting a signature from the delivering carrier is essential to protect your interests and to make claim under an insurance policy. Have a digital camera available in the cargo receiving area, or if packing a container, take photos of the loading or unloading process. As they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words. Insurance. Talk to your insurance company to see if they have the proper coverage for transporting or storing your cargo. Many times people are unaware as to whether their policies cover transportation and if so, whether deductibles apply. If cargo losses are not covered or available under your existing policy, speak to your firm's representative and they can offer you a variety of insuring options. However, this also ties into knowing your contract terms, as it may not be your responsibility to procure insurance. Issue written instructions. In all cases, make sure you convey your intentions, instructions and understandings in writing. Requests for insurance must be in writing. There is nothing worse than getting into a situation because all instructions were verbal. Now I will discuss about insurance of cargo. Air cargo insurance covers physical damage and loss of different goods while being transported by land, sea, air and offers considerable opportunities and cost advantages in case of proper management. This topic warrants its own bullet point as insuring terms can be confusing and misleading. An educated customer will know the risks and benefits of insurance and also understand that there are responsibilities and steps that must be followed to ensure a policy pays for loss or damage. Customers should be aware of the different insuring terms available and make a risk analysis to make sure the most cost-effective terms are procured. All risk coverage. This is the broadest coverage you can request, but the term is also misleading. All risk does not entitle you to uncontested payment. See below exceptions and exclusions on when insurance may not pay a claim. The terms and conditions of all risk coverage are referred to as the Institute Cargo Clause ICC a copy of which is available upon request. Exceptions and exclusions in insurance. Cargo interest must be aware that any of the following situations may constitute a denial of a claim. Following are the exceptions and exclusions which may apply and provided as a reason not to pay a claim, such as non-durable packaging, abandonment of cargo, customers' rejection, inability to pay, collect accounts, loss due to the nature of the cargo, inherent vice, that is, steel will rust, fruit will spoil, etc., employee conversion of dishonesty, cargo requiring an on-deck bill of lading, failure to place carrier on notice for loss or damage in a timely manner in journal, ocean freight. Receipts must indicate damage or exception, and a written claim should follow within 3 days. Air freight. Visual damage receipts must indicate damage or exception, that is, crushed boxes, rips, bent corners, etc., and a written claim must follow in 7 days. Concealed damage, 14 days from date of delivery. Again, receipts should indicate any indication, that is, bent corners, dents, etc., and preliminary notice must be presented in 14 days. Non-delivery, within 120 days of ETA of cargo. Free of particular average, FPA. Free of particular average insurance is best for articles that are prohibited under all risk coverage, such as used goods or cargo requiring on-deck storage. FPA perils that would be covered for total loss and in most cases partial loss includes heavy weather, lighting, etc., fire, vessel or craft being stranded or sunk or burnt, collision of vessel, aircraft or prior or subsequent land carriage. Free of particular average terms are available without average or with average when insured. FPA with average the coverage will be extended to total loss due to theft, pilferage and non-delivery. Another primary benefit of purchasing any insurance, that is all risk FPA with or without coverage, is that you will also be protected from the additional costs that may be incurred by a cargo interest due to general average. The insurance would cover all costs for general average and post the necessary bonds for release of your cargo if it were salvageable. General average occurs when extraordinary losses are incurred by the master of the vessel or aircraft. All cargo interests have to pay the master for the loss of the vessel or aircraft. So, in addition to losing your cargo, you would be responsible to pay additional expenses to the ship's master or aircraft owner. This is kind of like adding salt to the wound. So, even in the case of all risk insurance, which may not actually cover all risks, there are considerable scenarios covered that can save a cargo owner hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now I would discuss about foreign trade licenses for import and export. Foreign Trade Act 1992 and Export and Import Exempt Policy govern export and import in India. Various goods and services are tax-free except those which are governed by various export and import policies in India. A regional affiliation is must for carrying different export and import activities in India. Export Import Code IEC is must for carrying out various trade activities involving export and import among nations. Now I will discuss about import policy. Indian Trade Classification Harmonized System, that is ITC-HS, has classified articles into following categories: restricted goods, canalized goods and prohibited goods. Articles which do not fall under these divisions can be easily imported with only one condition, that is valid IEC. Licensed or restricted items. For import of various restricted or licensed articles, there is requirement of import license from competent authority. ITC-HS notifies list of restricted goods and import license is valid for 24 months for various capital goods and 18 months for other goods. Canalized items. Canalized items are petroleum products, bulk agricultural products such as grains, vegetable oils and pharmaceutical products. ITC-HS has placed the list of different canalized goods that can be imported. Various canalized agencies help in import of different goods. Prohibited items. Prohibited items or goods are those goods which are listed in ITC-HS. It includes wild animals, tallow, fat and oils of animal and unprocessed ivory. Now I will discuss about export policy. There are following division of goods that can be exported across different parts of the world: restricted, prohibited and state trading enterprise. Restricted goods. Restricted goods are those which are not allowed without permissions and require permissions to be exported by an authorized agency. These goods are normally restricted and cannot be carried away without seeking the permissions of designated authorities. Prohibited goods. There are certain goods that are not allowed to be shipped in any case and fetch fine in case of illegal carriage. State trading enterprise, that is STE. There are certain articles that can be transported only through STEs. Types of duties. Numerous duties which are levied in India on imports and exports are as follows. Basic duty. Basic duty is applied to goods and represents a kind of tax. First and second schedules of the Customs Tariff Act of 1975 enshrines the rates of custom duties. First schedule equal to rates of import duty. The second schedule equals to rates of export duties. First schedule contains two rates, that is standard rate and preferential rate. Standard rate is more than preferential rate. In case of lower rates available as per the recommendations of government, the preferential rates come into operation. In other cases, the standard rates will be imposed. In case of agreements, lower charges may be applied. The countervailing duty. Countervailing duty applies on imported goods. Countervailing duty equals excise duty. if manufacturing is done outside India, similar nature goods are used to determine the rates. Highest rate is imposed in case of there are numerous rates for a single good. In case the import of goods is performed by special economic zones, then central countervailing duty is imposed. SCVD, that is special additional countervailing duty. SCVD is levied on all items, rate of 4% of the basic, and the excise duty is levied on all imports in order to countervail the VAT or sales tax on local goods in India. Various items are charged in accordance with VAT and sales tax. The traders are refunded in accordance with the discounts and rebates. Anti-dumping duty. Anti-dumping duty is imposed as per charges to dump various items or articles forwarded. Anti-dumping duty is levied on certain goods imported from selective countries. This duty protects various industries. The margin of duties imposed must not exceed the limit of dumping, that is the normal rate export value. The safeguard duty. This duty is imposed to provide security to different types of goods which are manufactured within a particular country. The government may decide to impose more import duty on certain goods if they are destroying or harming the local production and local products because of their entry within the country. The government may exempt developing countries depending upon the economic status of the country and international agreements and good faith for the neighboring countries. The exemption may be fractional or 100%. Various notifications are issued time to time and their validity extends from few months to 2 to 5 years or more, but less than 10 years. Now I will discuss about education and higher education cess. It is a tax imposed to carve out money from economies to fund education, especially higher education. The tax also covers health initiatives in addition to education. The education cess, simply put, is a tax designed to fund education and healthcare initiatives. A 2% of education cess and 1% of higher education cess is imposed on aggregate of duties of customs. It does not include safeguard duties, countervailing duty on subsidized articles, anti-dumping duty and countervailing duty equivalent to VAT. Valuation. Customs duty is payable fraction or in percentage of value, popularly known as assessable value of customs value. The value is further described as a. Value as defined in section 14(1) of the Customs Act. B. Tariff value described under the section 14(2) of the Customs Act. CBEC, that is Central Board of Excise and Customs, fixes the tariff value for different entities to be imported or exported. While deciding the tariff value, the trend of value of various goods is taken into consideration. The duty is levied as percentage of value. The provisions of section 14 of 1962 and the Customs Valuation Determination of Value of Imported Goods Rule 2007 determines the value of imported goods. The assessable value equals the transaction value of goods as adjusted for freight and cost of insurance, loading, unloading and various handling charges. Items concerned with assessable value: brokerage and commission, container cost, cost of packaging and labor involved in packaging of different articles for cargo, various supplementary tools supplied by the supplier, licensing fee and other loyalties, transport up to loading and unloading of aircraft or ship, various charges levied for landing of aircraft transporting different goods, insurance of article being shipped or transported through air carrier. The above cited things are taken into consideration while cargo handling through aircraft. However, certain things are not included which can be enumerated, such as excluded costs are charges for construction, erection, assembly, maintenance and technical assistance. After import transportation, various taxes and duties. Customs Tariff Act 1975 notifies different duties on various types of exports as well as imports. It also enshrines in it various rules and regulations in India. Now I will discuss customs handling fee. The customs duty is accompanied by 1% customs handling fee on various imports, which is levied by the central government. Now I would summarize the whole module. After thorough study of this module, the students might have come to know about the liabilities in cargo handling. There are certain declarations mentioned in contract of service that protect carrier as well as the customer or client. The students might also have known the provision of insurance and its relevance in safeguarding the interests of clients as well as the carrier. The foreign trade licenses in Indian context are important in import as well as export of articles, which have been discussed in this module. Thank you and have a great future ahead.